Hello YouTubers and welcome aboard. I am Noob Flyboy X and welcome back to F1 2018 Career Mode. It is the Japanese Grand Prix this time, and like I promised last time, this is going to be a pretty darn good race. I want to give you just a quick look at the performance chart there. We're actually up from pretty much last on the grid that we were for a lot of the season. So here we are in our first lap in Q1, coming around for our first time, and there we go. That's fastest with a 1:30.2 something. I missed that. I should have been paying more attention. We don't improve by much on our second lap, but we're going to improve by enough to get us up to third place, which will easily get us through into Q2. Here's our first time lap in Q2, pretty much at the beginning of it, and we're starting on the soft compound tires, hoping to make the alternate strategy work. We're down a pretty long ways by the end of the session. Here we go, improving a little bit, and there we go, back up to P11, but that isn't enough to get us into Q3. So we're going to end in 12th position, just behind Sebastian Vettel, who also is going for the alternate strategy on softs. So we'll be starting a ways down, but have free choice of tires.
We're live today from the Mie Prefecture of Japan as we look forward to the Japanese Grand Prix. The 2015 race here was one of only 5 Grand Prix in history to feature no retirements at all. Although with the highly competitive field we have today, I don't expect we'll be repeating that stat anytime soon. So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and Kimi Raikkonen completes the front row. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Perez, Esteban Ocon, and Ricciardo, Leclerc, Vettel, Iceman, and Pierre Gasly, Alonso, Verstappen, Kevin Magnussen, and Hartley, Hulkenberg, Stroll, Carlos Sainz, and Marcus Ericsson. They've taken a grid penalty. Van Dorn and Roman Grosjean starts from the back of the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
We've qualified above where we expected to be, so try your best to hold on to this position in the race.
So with the free choice of tire that we have, we're going to go for the soft tire to begin with and do a one stop onto the medium tire on lap 12. Pretty easy one stop here. And here's a difference of the difficulty I've added in. I actually have to do manual starts now. And here we go, lights out. And we've actually had a pretty good first manual start as Sebastian Vettel gets away in front of us. Charles Leclerc also in front of us, and looks like Pierre Gasly trying to come up our inside into the first corner. Now it's one of the Red Bulls, actually. I think that's Verstappen. He's pushed ahead of us, as well as Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso. We actually slid wide off the first corner, and Nico Hulkenberg will also slide past us, so it's been a pretty bad start. Haven't really been able to live up to Jeff's words there of trying to hold on to the position initially. We're going to have to do a lot of fighting back if we want anything out of this race at this point. So looks like we're going to have to just start working as soon as we can, but the tires are a little cool at this point. Going to have to get them warmed up quickly. Kevin Magnussen behind us applying a little bit of early pressure, but not too bad just yet. I can also count, fortunately, on catching up to these cars as they sort of, bunch up together, like concertina up, as David Crofty will commonly say. But there we go. We're back up to Kevin Magnussen, or not Kevin Magnussen. We've had a bump from Kevin Magnussen, and we're close up to Nico Hulkenberg once again as we were about halfway through the first lap of this Grand Prix. Hulkenberg pulling a little bit of a gap there, just under acceleration, and trying to stay close to him now in the braking zone into Spoon Curve. A little later on, he's actually making a move on Fernando Alonso in the McLaren just in front of us. And there he goes, up the inside into the first corner. Looks like Pierre Gasly is actually doing quite well up there. He's actually passed both of them and is making a pretty good showing of himself at the Japanese Grand Prix for Honda. So doing well at the team's home Grand Prix. It's my turn next to make a move on Alonso here, coming through 130R. Looks like Gasly's been passed by Hulkenberg, but Alonso's my target here as we go down the inside there, or we try to. We've been pushed pretty narrow, and we have to take out one of the bollards as Gasly locks up and makes it a bit of an awkward situation for both Alonso and myself. We're going to try again with the DRS down the front straightaway here in their slipstream and see if we can make anything of this. Here we go, closing on Alonso. Both Gasly and Alonso go defensive, and I'm forced to brake a little early. Gasly goes in with a bit too much speed and has to go wide, but is able to keep his position. Coming up to Fernando Alonso now, and actually we're about to learn of a bit of an issue that's about to decide the course of the race.
Some information on Stroll. They're slowing down. It seems like there's some kind of problem with their car.
Some kind of issue, as Jeff says, will actually turn out to be a bit of an understatement here. Here we can see the issue happening to Stroll. He's actually doing fine for now, but this is the point where we get the message. As he goes into the two Degnas, there's a failure of his, looks like, right rear tire. So he is off into the gravel trap and very slow to recover from that off. You can see on the map there, he's still struggling through not very far after that, as we make a move on Fernando Alonso here, following him through 130R and into the chicane again. This time we're able to get the move done as we turn to the inside. Gasly's not locked up. It's a pretty clean pass from all of us. So there we go. We've made up that position on Alonso. And here we go. We can see we're about to pass Stroll. There he is over there, just passed on the right side there. And he's having to limp around with that deflated tire. And I haven't learned that it's a deflated tire at this point. I only learned that after the race. We're about to pass him again here on lap 6. There he goes as I'm now attacking Gasly. Gasly in my sights as we're now out of the yellow flag zone, so I can pass again. And it looks like I'm going to try for the same move that I pulled on Alonso. No, not quite. Looks like Gasly had that covered. Bit of a lockup from him as he goes into the chicane, but he's held the position. Hasn't lost too much speed. Looks like some people are starting to make their first pit stops here. Open up the DRS. I'm on Gasly's tail. I'm hearing of a new strategy from Jeff, and I'm not concerned about that too much. I look at it as I pass Gasly. It's going to mess with my driving just a little bit, but not enough to really throw off any of the position that I've just gained here. So we're through there, and now coming on to the front straightaway on the next lap. We're going to see something pretty odd. There's carbon fiber everywhere, and here we can see Lance coming by the pit wall. I don't know why he's there. I figure if he's had an issue and isn't out by this point, he should have pit, but we're going to see here why he hasn't. He's actually tried to, but you can see the green flag in the background there. No one's slowed down for him. There's one of the Mercedes, both of the Mercedes, in fact, one of the Force Indias, and here's the Red Bull, actually runs into him and drags him past the pit lane entrance. So he's not been able to go into the pits to get onto a new set of tires. So Stroll is going to have to limp around for another lap before he's able to get onto a new set of tires and continue racing. He's lost several laps already to the leaders. You can see myself going past here with Gasly and Alonso in tow. And that's really big for Stroll. And finally, the FIA has decided that enough is enough. And on lap 8, as I head into 130R, they've pulled out the full safety car for that. This is the first time we've had the full safety car since Germany Season 1. And we can see Stroll here has actually ghosted. I wasn't sure that could actually happen in career mode, but there it is. Everyone else has pit in front of me, and I'm going on the longer first stint. That will leave me in the lead of the race behind the safety car. We can pass Stroll again there on lap 10, still behind the safety car. And we'll see if he's able to do anything to recover this. And I really doubt it at this point. He's several laps down. On the end of lap 10, though, safety car is coming in, even though Stroll is still a long way from being able to come into the pit lane. But here we go. We take off as soon as the safety car is in. No sense wasting time, I think. So let's get a move on. Breathing hard here because I'm already kind of worn out from everything that's been going on here. I'm just not sure how to handle all this. I've been wondering if I should have gone into the pits, and I'm thinking I should have. There's my tires struggling to warm up here. They're able to warm up just enough, though, that I'm able to keep my position. Kimi Raikkonen behind me has actually passed the Toro Rosso of Brendan Hartley, who was immediately behind me, and he's wheel-to-wheel with me into 130R on lap 11. There we go. I'm off the track a little bit, and I just barely missed Stroll, who's a bit off track as well. Into the chicane once again, and I look on the map, and I can see there's a big car parked behind me. Something else has happened to Stroll here, and I'm pretty sure he's caused an incident by virtue of someone running into him. Well, he's not supposed to be there. Here I go past, and it's Hartley who runs into him and loses a tire. And it looks like both Mercedes are off into the gravel trap, and Valtteri Bottas is the Mercedes who's lost a wheel there. Lewis Hamilton with his entire front wing off, and Stroll just trying to get going again. The lad cannot catch a break at this point. It'll take him almost a full minute, but he's finally able to limp it from the chicane into the pit lane entrance. So he's able to get onto a new set of tires, finally. But that's going to actually have some major repercussions for me. As I come in for my pit stop on the beginning of lap 13, they're not ready for me. They're still busy with Stroll's car, only having just gotten away, so they're not prepared for me just yet, and it will be an 8-second pit stop. That was awful. What in the hell kind of pit stop was that? I'm pretty upset with my pit crew just then, because I could have actually gotten out in 12th position if I'd had a decent pit stop there. Instead, I'm down in 14th, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who's had to come in for a new front wing, but behind both Haas cars. I'm going to have to contend with both of them, and here we go on Magnussen on lap 14 into the chicane. It's a pretty good overtaking opportunity on this track. after the long, relatively straight section of 130R. Here we go. Now on the next lap it'll be Roman Grosjean in the other Haas. Here we go. Similar move. Brake a little bit later and actually go a bit deeper into the corner, but covering off his counterattack. So we've got him easily covered off there. Some other cars are in the pits, so it may not have been a huge mistake not to pit under the safety car, but we'll pass Fernando Alonso. We will just barely get out in front of Nico Hülkenberg in the Renault, and we're just behind Pierre Gasly, and it looks like one of the Red Bulls. So we've got some relatively slow cars around us we can try to attack. I'm going to try for the move on Gasly, not quite be able to make it work. And Nico Hülkenberg on softer tires has actually come around my outside in the chicane. He's going to try it down the front straightaway now with DRS. I've got it on Gasly, but I don't have his slipstream because he's a long way ahead now. And Hülkenberg actually does have my slipstream to get himself a bit of momentum, and he's probably got a bit more fuel to use as well. I don't have, any shortage of fuel, but I decided at this point I'm just going to let him go. I'll be able to fight him back later. Hülkenberg then will pass Gasly and will continue on up the road. So it's Gasly I'm going to have to pass now and try to get into 8th position. He defends the inside, but there we go. Around the outside, fairly easily. Good overtaking speed in the Williams is something that we've still got, even though it's actually starting to become an aero car at this point. The upgrades that we've made are actually starting to focus on aerodynamics at this point. It'll take up until lap 22, but Gasly will actually come back at me into the first corner. He pushes me out a little bit wide, but, rubbing's racing. That's fair, I think. Charles Leclerc just behind me, though, so I don't want to lose out to him. So it's going to be a mix of attacking and defending for the rest of the race here. Able to pass Gasly again on lap 23 with use of DRS, and there we go. Hoping to hold this position and hoping to get on after Nico Hülkenberg. Here's a moment that'll actually decide the rest of the race, and it's again a moment with my teammate Stroll. I'm able to lap him here, and as we head into this little hairpin in the middle of the course. He'll actually stay just behind me there for a minute, just long enough to open up a gap between myself and Gasly, as well as Leclerc behind him. So it looks like we've finally gotten to the end here of what was a pretty darn hectic race as far as I was concerned. It was pretty tough being behind the safety car. It was just a bit odd because I wasn't used to it, but there we go. We've come back for 8th place. It could have been more, but that's not bad.
Okay, good job, mate. Really well done. That was a fantastic drive.
Welcome then to the podium, our top 3 drivers. What a great effort from them today in a very difficult race.
And Sergio Perez will actually come through for his 2nd win of the season after embarrassing the Ferrari fans at Monza. It's a pretty darn good season for Force India, it looks like, as Perez has actually got 2 wins to my 1. And I don't think he's done yet, because there are some good tracks for Force India yet to come, namely Mexico, but that'll be in 2 races' time. That was one heck of a race, I thought, especially when I was doing that, because there were so many unfamiliar things. Poor Lance Stroll ended up 7 laps down in the end. That was a third of the race behind everyone else. Really unfortunate for him, as he got dragged past the pit lane that first time. For us, though, we actually managed to hold on to our position in the Constructors' Championship, which is pretty darn good. But looks like we're not really going to be able to go forward in the Constructors either, unless Valtteri has a pretty bad season from here. In any case, next race is our home Grand Prix, and thank you very much for watching this episode, and have a nice day, as always.